Hey guys, Travis here on day 2 of week 8 of the Summer Split LCS. I'm joined by Scarra of Dignitas, fresh off of a game that you tried so much to lose and managed to win. So that game against TSM seemed to be really back and forth. What happened there, Scarra?
Well, we were really upset that people thought Vulcan could throw harder than us. Yeah. So we just wanted to come into this week and we were just like, let's try to get the biggest lead we possibly can and throw it away. Yeah. And so we almost did it, but unfortunately we weren't able to pull through.
Was there like a single point in time during that game where you where you threw super hard, or was it just like a series of throws?
It was like I was split pushing bottom. We were 8-1, and I was like, okay, we got this game in the bag. And so I told them to throw top lane. So what happened was that we didn't throw 3 kills or 4 kills top lane. And afterwards, we went into the red buff for a red buff invade. And then I threw, and then Kiwi threw, and then our whole team died. So we got aced. So we went from 8-1 to I think 14-14. This is pretty impressive if I might want to add.
Yeah. And then Reggie was nice enough to take your lead by being bot lane and having the team throw, and have he went bot lane as well. And then outside of Baron, they threw, so that allowed you guys to get back in.
Yeah, you know, we're both competing to see who could be the top, but unfortunately I think we'll be sitting on that throne for quite some time. I can't say that because we won, so maybe we're not on the throne, but hopefully we'll stay actually very far away from that. Truthfully, I'm happy we won, but that was just a game I do not want to repeat.
The throne, is that referred to as the throw throne?
Yes, it is the throw throne. The game of throws.
Either way, you guys managed to take that out. Odie afterwards tweeted, that was super sloppy, but I'm happy we won. And then he said, and Cutie Pie is a genius, and it's really annoying. Do you agree that Cutie Pie is a genius?
I think he's a genius. I think his intellect has nothing to do with that game. I think he landed some good cues, though, on Ezreal. Just we played it really wrong. And luckily, we were able to recover it. That's it.
So you still have a cough that you've had since you lived with me a year ago.
It's gone on and off for like months on end. For some reason, I just got it back, so I have to go see the doctor again. I literally got back within the last week, and it's horrible. Like I hate it right now. So that's why I'm having a cough drop during the most interview, because I just can't handle it.
Well, I'm sure all the Reddit comments will be filled with, like, can you please be more professional and make sure that people don't suck on cough drops? And so I know that's the other reason you're doing it, is because you hope that people criticize my professionalism.
Absolutely. You're the least professional I know.
Oh, thank you. That's a great compliment. So you guys are struggling right now, sort of towards the bottom. This is the last big week to make it back before Super Week. So what's the plan? What's the strategy? What's the scheme from Dignitas right now?
Just execution. That's it. I think Dig has always been known to be a team that just has a really solid early game. Whatever happens, our level 1s are pretty clean. Our early game, our laning's always very good. Not just very good, it's really, really good. Like, we always get leads in lane, and then we'll just throw it. Not even throw it. We won't execute our pressure correctly. And so right now, it's just about executing it well. I think there's definitely been a lot of improvement within the team. Before, how we typically play out the games is we would either get a lead and snowball it by never grouping up, or we would get a lead, throw it, because we would group up and we'd fail a team fight because we didn't know how to execute team fights correctly. I think the only reason we brought it back today against TSM is because we practiced on team fighting so much in the last like 3 months. That's literally all we did with practice team fighting, communication, and some other stuff I can't really go into because that would be too important. But I think.
What else have you been practicing?
Shut up, Travis. Our team fights have gotten to the point where they're at least acceptable for us at a pro level, and we're hoping to extend it to the point where we can actually come back from games when we're behind. I think we've gotten really, really close to being able to do that. And I think that's the first step in our resurgence in up DNA and world scene.
Are you concerned at all about being this far behind right now with such little time ahead of playoffs?
I mean, obviously, I'm a little bit concerned. I think it's not really weighing on my mind too much. It's like we made a lot of mistakes during this split. We lost a lot of games. Obviously, by a record, we lost a lot of games. And so we just have to recover right now and not think about what happened before or what could happen in the future. Right now, the current goal is just win games. That's it. If we win games, we don't have to worry about placing top 6. It'll automatically happen. And we just perform well at PAX, and that's why it. I think, for instance, our C9 game, we won that game. If I didn't play like the worst game of my life there, we would have easily won that game. So I know we can compete with players. We just can't play poorly, and that's fine. I think we've come a long way as a team. And now, if the only complaint I could say about my team right now is that we don't execute like certain things correctly, I think that's good. Whereas before, we couldn't team fight, we didn't know how to split push, didn't know how to put pressure, we couldn't lane, we dive in 1v2s, like we had all these problems. And now we fixed a large majority of them, and we're stuck with like one or two big things and maybe like some small minor things. And I think that's something that we can definitely brush up going into next week and PAX.
So you've always been known more as like the analytical player amongst LCS pros. I kind of wanted to get your opinion because I don't actually get a chance to ask too many people nowadays about balance changes and that kind of thing. Obviously, a big patch hitting. It's not on the LCS servers right now, but we're going to see it in for Super Week. So what are your thoughts on the patch? I know a lot of it is jungle, but still figured I'd ask you.
That was really poorly timed.
The patch was poorly timed, or that question?
The patch itself was very poorly timed. Please, Travis. I don't think a major patch like that should ever be coming out during the middle or like the very, very end of the LCS split. Like that's something that you hold off to like after. But I guess Riot was like, let's just throw it out now. I know the biggest problem wasn't even that the impact on us. The impact on us is obviously really big. Like you can't force 1v2s anymore. Like the strats are going to be all really, really silly now. The biggest thing is just that like they brought it out there in the middle of the amateur qualifiers for PAX. And I was watching them last night and I was like, how is anyone supposed to prepare for this patch the day of it coming out? If you're looking to qualify for PAX. So I thought that was really silly of them, and I obviously they're gonna learn from this because I thought it wasn't well executed at all.
You know, we were discussing this on Who's League, and one of the things that we had, like we sort of were having a similar discussion, but the question is like, when would it have been better for them to come out with it?
That's a good question. I think after NA playoffs would be a really good point, but obviously that would affect playoffs in other regions. Like I think it would affect the Chinese playoffs. So I think they could have spaced the patches out, make it smaller and bite-sized. Rather than do this gigantic overhaul of not only jungle items, jungle changes, tower changes. It's just like they did everything in this patch. They also nerfed like 3 of the strongest champions into the ground. And so I would have liked the patches to be more bite-sized so that we can more easily adapt week by week. But when you make a big patch like this come out at such a crucial moment, it just seems like poor planning by Riot's part.
The question that I was really looking forward to, though, was what you think of the patch itself. Like, do you agree with the changes on it? Or is there anything that's like crazy radical that's going to affect the way you play the game? Do you expect to see certain champions over more now, or those kind of questions?
Honestly, I shouldn't answer this too in depth because I haven't had too much experience on it. Most of my play actually hasn't been on the new patch. We scrimmed on the new patch a little bit, but we banned everything that had to do with it. And the days that we scrimmed on the patch, it just seemed really stupid because we had one game where Cutie Pie shot the bottom turret 35 times plus and only got to 1,000 health, like 40% health. It wasn't even 1,000. It was like 35, 40%. And we were just like, this change is absolutely stupid. So not stupid. It's like that's one way to fix the 1v2s, but it also makes it stranger because you elongate the laning phase and you make it harder to actually punish people for bad plays. Because let's say you push someone out of the lane, you typically take the turret. Now, if you push someone out of the lane pre 8 minutes, you don't even take the turret. The turret just like sits there, and if you're wailing on it, it just smiles at you and just kills the creeps around you because you cannot kill it with 3 people. You need so much time, like 3 different waves for you to actually kill that turret. And so it's still possible to 1v2 to shut down lanes, but you can't 1v2 to get an early turret unless the other team messes up really, really, really hard.
So you would just say it's, but even with that, you're still getting used to the patch right now, so it's kind of hard to like make too many judgment calls on it.
Sorry, absolutely. I would not take everything I say with a grain of salt right now. I obviously haven't had too much time on the patch, and I don't like it when people make random judgments on the patch. The only thing I can say is that Ryze mid lane will probably not be seen much anymore. That's the only conclusive thing I can say because the nerfs were just ridiculous, and that champion will see little to no play mid lane anymore.
I forgot to ask you earlier, sort of a similar thing about mid lane champions. You played Diana and you haven't pulled out Diana too much, though I know it's one of your more favorite mid laners. So why Diana now and why not earlier?
It was a series of phases where people started shifting toward anti-Diana champions that couldn't play Diana. On the introduction of Doran's Ring also made it so Diana just like sucked because the other player could go a really greedy item, Doran's Ring, and just harass you out of lane, and you were forced to go like a non-greedy item and you'd still get harassed more because you don't have range to counter the harass. And Lissandra came out, huge counter to Diana. It's really hard to play that matchup. Just the champions that people were playing were all Diana counters, and it sucked because all the Diana counters were also hand in hand like our Gragas counters as well. So now that we're shifting back toward the meta of, I think most mid lane players are shifting toward Ori, back toward Ahri, I can maybe bring out some of my old champions again. Like, it's hard to tell because you don't just look at toward champion matchups, but you also look at champion like team comps. And so during that team comp, I was like, Diana would work really well here. And that's the only reason I picked it. I wouldn't have picked Diana. Normally in that 1v1, I would just pick another champion.
Very good. So sort of wrapping up the interview, you have any shoutouts, plugs, anything you want to say at the end?
Just shout out to our fans, first of all, because we are so rocky this season. I know our fan base has just plummeted. Because they're like, wow, why would we follow this team that's just really bad?
The raise your dongers thing is the only thing that's really keeping anything there, I think.
Yes, we got the dong squad in check, so at least we got that market. But no, but yeah, obviously our fans have stuck with us through and through. We definitely think we can make Worlds, like for NA at least. We can definitely think it's a possibility, a strong possibility, if we just clean up our execution a little bit. And thank you to our sponsors as well. Alienware, Intel, as well as all the rest of our sponsors. And I also want to give a thanks to Riot. Like, I know I pummeled them a lot on almost everything. Like, I always have a really outspoken comment about what they do, and even their release of this patch, I was really frustrated with how it went out. But honestly, looking around the other esports scenes, like the FGC is having problems with collusion right now. The StarCraft scene's having problems with WCS NA players just retiring because there's no future for them. And then I look at Riot's amateur scene, and it's flourishing. They're doing really well. So of all the shit I give Riot, they've done really well for us, and we wouldn't be here without them.
Very well said. There was a question that I had in the middle of your shoutouts because you were talking. Oh, that's what it was. Your fan base, yeah. So, you said that you thought you could get to Worlds. I know. I'm just stealing one more question, but I know you said you can get to Worlds. I think it's really interesting to me right now because everybody seems to think Cloud9 is for sure going, and then Vulcan is probably the best bet after that. So then there's this third spot, and there's these 3 or 4 old school teams. You're one of them. Do you think that that's how it's going to play out, that we're going to see Cloud9, Vulcan, and then just only one of these guys that were around last year make it in?
Sorry. I don't know. I think it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. I think Cloud9's played the most consistent. I would probably hedge my bets that they will be going to Worlds. I actually wouldn't mind playing Cloud9 like a best of 3 anyways. I think we can take them. But aside from Cloud9, there's really no one else that is that consistent. Like when we play Vulcan, it's not really... It doesn't scream like, wow, they outclass us, or wow, they're just better players, wow, they perform better, they execute better, any of that. I think their rotations are really good. I think they have a really good mid laner. And aside from that, I don't really have any other... I think all the team... whatever happens is a toss-up for the last 2 spots at Worlds.
Very good. Well, thank you so much for the interview. Congratulations on your win against TSM. I'm sorry you couldn't throw as hard as you tried, but it worked out. Either way, thanks everyone for watching. This is Travis on the second day of Week 8 of the LCS Summer Split. You can check out the rest of our coverage at GameSpot.com/LCS.